In our super connected world, your personal data is one of the most valuable things out there. But who actually controls it? Well, today we're going to dig into two massive laws that are completely rewriting the rulebook: Europe's GDPR and India's brand new DPDPA.
I mean, think about it. Who really controls your digital life? Every single time you go online, you're leaving behind this trail of digital breadcrumbs. And for years, huge companies pretty much had all the power over that info. But, that's all starting to change.
That's right. The power is finally starting to shift back to us. Governments all over the world are stepping in with these powerful new laws that treat our personal data not as some commodity to be bought and sold, but as a fundamental right that belongs to you.
Okay, so let's get into it. This whole digital economy thing has created privacy risks that we've never seen before. And in response, these two major regulations have popped up as global game changers, and they're forcing everybody to rethink how data is handled.
So first up, you've got the GDPR. This came out in 2018, and it pretty much immediately became the gold standard for data protection. I mean, it inspired laws all over the planet with its really comprehensive rights-first approach. And now we've got the new kid on the block, the DPDPA. Passed in 2023, this is a huge deal for India. It's designed to protect the digital privacy of over 1.4 billion people, while also, trying to keep that economic engine running.
So the big question is, how do these two powerhouses actually stack up against each other? They're both trying to protect us, but they go about it in some pretty different ways. Let's really break down the core of it.
This might seem like a really simple question, but the answer tells you a lot about the philosophy behind each law. What actually counts as personal data that needs to be protected? Right, so let's look at the scope. GDPR is way broader. It covers all your digital info, of course, but it also covers organized physical files. So picture a doctor's office with rows of filing cabinets full of paper records. GDPR could apply there. The DDPA, on the other hand, is laser-focused on the digital world. It protects digital data, and it only cares about offline data once it's been scanned and turned into a digital file. This really shows its goal of being a more streamlined law for a country that's digitizing at lightning speed.
There's also a really big difference in how they treat sensitive information. GDPR creates what it calls special categories. Think health records, biometric data, stuff like that. And it puts extra strong protections around them. The DPDPA actually simplifies things. It applies the same set of rules to all personal digital data. Now, that makes it more straightforward for businesses, but it does mean there's less of a tiered protection system for your most private info.
Okay, so this is the real million-dollar question for any company, right? You've got all this data, but what gives you the legal right to actually use it? And here the justifications are really quite different.
It really comes down to flexibility versus focus. With GDPR, organizations get 6 different legal reasons to process data. Consent is only one of them. They can also use something called legitimate interests, like, say, using your data to prevent fraud. The DPDPA, however, is way more focused on consent. It was a conscious choice to make the rules simpler. So while it does allow for a few legitimate uses, it doesn't have that broad legitimate interests clause. And that means businesses in India are going to need your explicit yes a lot more often.
Now, these laws aren't just a rule book for companies. They're about giving you power. The whole point is to put you back in the driver's seat. So what specific rights do you actually get?
As you can see, there's a good amount of overlap. Both laws give you those core rights. You can access your data, you can correct it, and you can ask for it to be erased. But the differences are key. GDPR gives you data portability. That's the power to just pick up your data and move it somewhere else, like taking your playlists from one music streaming app to another. It also gives you rights when it comes to automated decisions, like if an AI denies your loan application. But then, the DPDPA introduces something totally unique: the right to nominate someone to manage your data if you die or can't do it yourself. Pretty interesting.
Of course, rules are only as strong as the punishment for breaking them. And let me tell you, both of these laws have some very, very sharp teeth when it comes to penalties.
Under GDPR, the fines can be just staggering. We're talking up to 20 million euros or 4% of a company's entire global revenue from the previous year, whichever is higher. I mean, those are the kinds of numbers that make even the biggest tech companies in the world sit up and pay very close attention.
And you better believe India's DPDPA is not messing around either. It can hit companies with penalties up to 250 crore rupees. That's about 30 million US dollars. It's a clear signal that data protection is a massive priority.
So, after all of that, what's the big picture? Why should you really care about the nitty-gritty differences between these two legal frameworks? Well, it all boils down to two things: control and trust.
So here's the bottom line. For all of us as individuals, these laws mean we get more control and transparency over our own information. For businesses, privacy just isn't optional anymore. It's absolutely essential to succeed. And even though GDPR and DPDPA take different approaches based on their own priorities, they're both part of this bigger global shift. At the end of the day, our trust in this whole digital world really depends on getting this stuff right.
Look, these laws are a massive change in how we relate to our data, but they're really just the beginning. Technology is evolving at a breakneck pace, which leaves us with one final question to chew on. As the rules get tighter, what's the next big shift coming for our digital world?